Good morning, everybody. Happy Cold Friday, day 10 of our 21 days of prayer and fasting. I want to encourage you to stay intentionally committed to that fast that you've set before the Lord. In the midst of the moments where you want to maybe step away and just give in a little bit, I want to encourage you to just stay committed to the fast that you've set before God. I want to read a word this morning from Hebrews chapter 3 and chapter 4. And they're speaking of when Moses and the people of Israel were in the wilderness and God was trying to get them to the promised land. And the writer of Hebrews says this, chapter 3, verse 7. Today, if you will hear his voice, do not harden your hearts as in the rebellion in the day of trial in the wilderness, where your fathers tested me, tried me, and saw my works 40 years. Therefore I was angry with that generation and said, they always go astray in their heart, and they have not known my ways. So I swore in my wrath, they shall not enter my rest. Two things to mention there. God referenced that they always go astray in their heart, and because of that, they don't know his ways. That's one of the reasons I want to keep you challenged to stay committed to your fast. And then down to chapter 4, the writer says in verse 7, it says, today, if you will hear his voice, do not harden your hearts. And then down to verse 11. Before I read verse 11, I want to remind you that these people were heading to the promised land of God, which is where God's trying to get us. One day we're going to be with him in heaven, but God's trying to get us to his place of promise right now. He's given many promises in his scriptures, and he's trying to get us to those promises to fulfill those in our lives, so we can live full for him, so we can be fully committed and fully strong doing his work that he has us to do. So, and I want to speak that word to you about staying committed, about heading to that promised land, to receiving God's promises. And he says right here, chapter 4, verse 11, therefore, let us be diligent to enter that rest, lest anyone fall according to the same example of disobedience. For the word of God is living and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing to the division of the soul and the spirit, the joints and marrow, and is a discerner of the thoughts and intents of the heart. What does all that mean? Let me share this with you briefly and we'll finish out. Therefore, be diligent to enter that rest. God knows there's a difference between our soul, which is our will and desires, and the spirit, which is the desire he has for us. He encourages us to step in and let him lead us in our spirit so that we live from our spirit. And we get there, he says here, by being diligent. Therefore, be intentionally diligent to enter that rest. I want to encourage you to be diligent this morning. All right, one more thought. Do not forget to intentionally pour joy out on somebody today. Find somebody to share a meal with, to say a blessing to, maybe just a compliment how nice how they look today. But just say something good to spread joy to somebody else. All right, y'all have a good day. We'll see you soon.